Hi, my name is Gina Miller. I've been teaching first grade for 8 years. And of course I was a parent of 2 children, and I want to share with you the love of reading and how to share that with your child. So in first grade, when we start a book, a lot of times I'll choose a book that maybe is an interest to the children, something they've mentioned. And I just get so excited that we're going to read a book together, and they can feel that energy. So if you do that at home and just get excited to snuggle on the couch and share a book, they'll get that from you. So a couple things that we do when we start a lesson, and I want to tell you this because then you can do the same strategies at home with your first grader if you have one, or kindergartners are doing the same thing, second graders. But what we do is we start by really looking at the cover, and we look for details and we talk about what we see in the picture and kind of make predictions about what the story is going to be about, and then that is going to help them figure out words later on in the story. So we talk about the title, we talk about what we're seeing in the picture, and we make predictions. Then we might even peek at the first or second page to make predictions and talk about the book even before we read any of the words. The kids love to talk about books, and that really helps with their comprehension. So you want to talk as much as spending time reading the words. So then, as we're going through reading the book, there's some strategies that I want to share with you that really help first graders become strong readers. It's not just always sounding out the word. It's really looking at what's happening and figuring out what would make sense and what's going on in the story. So some of the things that we do, if we're reading along and we get to a tricky word, some of the strategies we use are, well, let's look at the picture. Let's see what's happening. And then another strategy would be, let's skip the word and continue reading and see what would make sense. And it's really important that once a child figures out what maybe they think would make sense, that you go back and reread the sentence and say, does that sound right? Another strategy is just looking at the first sound of the word. So if the child knows the letter sounds, you just look at, like, for example, this monkey might look like she's skipping or sliding. But then if you say, well, let's go back and look at the first sound, which is j, and then maybe they can figure it out. But if not, let's look at the last sound. And if we have j and p, and we look at what's happening, usually they can figure out that it's jump. So little strategies instead of just always saying, oh, well, let's sound out the word. Another thing we do is, this is one of my favorites. If you come to a really big word, it's really fun to look at it and say, well, let's find maybe a smaller word in the big word, or a chunk, or some letters that we know make sounds together. It's kind of like an I spy. I spy the word up in that big word. And then by breaking it into chunks, then we put the chunks together. First graders love doing that. Another strategy is, and this is a tricky one. So when you get to a word that might have vowels in it, it's reminding your child that sometimes vowels can make 2 sounds. So for example, the letter A can say a, but it also can say a. So when you get to a word that has a vowel in it, well, let's try it both ways and see which one helps it make sense to make a real word. So, and then some of the other things besides just those strategies figuring out words is also just helping your child realize how fun it is and how you can act out the book, how you can use your voice with different punctuation marks and bold words and italics. I mean, you can just go teach them so much by just looking at the print and having fun. And you know, if I read it because it was an exclamation point with excitement, have your child go back and reread it the same way in practice. What does an exclamation point have us do with our voices? So I think we just love reading, and sharing that with your students. They love reading. And sometimes if I don't have time to finish a book, they cannot wait till the next day because they just know, like, we're just having so much fun reading the book together. So if I can share anything with you, it's just when you sit down with a book with your child, just have fun. And just let them realize that reading is just such a special time that you can share together. And talk. If anything, when you're done with the book, just talk about what it was about and talk throughout the book and help them just understand what's going on, and you can make connections. So I hope I gave you some good ideas. Have fun reading with your child. See you next time.